In this video, we're going to look at a VLOOKUP example with multiple sheets, and commonly maybe 2 sheets at least. So what we're going to do is basically this. We have the data, but the data is spread over 2 different sheets. And we will have here a dashboard where we want to eventually display the data together. So what we need to do is we need to nest them together, because this is a quite common situation what we have, especially if you get like a database data from a software developer who tries to be very efficient in storing data. So let me explain here. So for example, here we have this sheet of employees, yes, and in this sheet or tab we have our employee ID, first name, last name, and birth date. So let's look here, and there's a bit more items here. It could be birth date or position or whatever you want. So you can see here all of these tabs. And most important one is the employee ID and the first name. And then we have another tab or template or sheet to be called. And in here we have the ID, the sales ID, the employee ID, the company name, and the order amount. And eventually you can see here the employee ID should match here to extract the name John here. So what we want to do here is when we put in sales order ID number 1, we should see here John, and then eventually we could see here the amount of whatever it was. So how can we do this? Well, to be clear, basically what we need to do is we need to combine them together. So we link these data, and there's like a primary key. So this is what we call primary key. This is basically a database term, a primary key, and this primary key will be connected here. So these two together, so that they understand, or we make a connection so that the database or the VLOOKUP will understand these are together. So basically what we will do is we connect this together, yes, but we have to start from the order ID. So this is our starting point, the yellow one. That's our starting point. With that one we can find what's the matching employee ID, and once we know the employee ID, we know we can go here to this tab, and from this tab we search here the first name. So step 1 is VLOOKUP for finding the matching employee ID. Number 2 is connect to employee tab, and number 3, extract or match employee ID with first name. And that's what we're going to do here. Alright, so first of all, because what we're going to do is we're going to nest them together. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get here the sales order, and the sales order should give us the matching ID. So we say VLOOKUP, open parentheses, and I'm putting it down for a reason, so later on will be very clear to understand. And you can see here VLOOKUP, and then you see the VLOOKUP or the lookup value, which is number 1 or this here, comma, and then we have the table array. So the table array is stored in the sales. So this is the sales table, and we're going to select all of this, and then comma, what is the column index number? Well, in this case, this is the first column, this second, third, and fourth. We want here this one. That's the second column, comma, false. 90% of the time you will need false. 1 out of 10 you might need true, but if you're not sure, just go with false. False means exact match, meaning if we have here we're going to search for number 1, and then finding the exact match number 1. Yeah, so there's no ranging in that. Now I have another video for that, so you can watch that as well. We already have the VLOOKUP with the true option. Alright, so we have this data here now. So this is correct, because if we look here, number 1 equals 1003. And if you look here, in the employee tab, you can see that the employee ID number 3003, but it's 1003. 1003 matches John. So we're getting there. And this is still empty because we don't have anything here. So here we do another VLOOKUP. And this VLOOKUP would basically be this number here. However, I will just remove this, and I'll just say 1003 for a reason. And then we're going to select the table array. table array will be from the employee ID. We select these, comma, and then we need to have we need to extract the first name, which is the second column. So we say here, number 2, comma, false. Enter. There we are. So if I would change this to number 2, you can see here now we change the employee ID. It will be 919, and who is this? That's James. So this doesn't change. Why? Because we hard-coded this one on purpose. So it will be 919, and then we can see James. Alright, so we know this formula works. So what we need to do is basically this here. You can see here the 919. This is basically the formula we have here above. So if you just copy this formula, we copy it in here now. We go to James, and replace the 919 with the VLOOKUP formula that we have here above. Confirm this. Now, if we change this again, you can see now it's nicely done. Alright, so that works. So now we have our nested VLOOKUP function. Let's copy this entire code and escape, and we just store it in here and confirm. Alright, this works. Let's delete this because this we don't need anymore. Final one is a mini exercise. Can we get the order value or the order amount, which should be very easy now once you understand VLOOKUP. And you already understand now the more advanced version, which is the nested VLOOKUP, is using 2 different tabs. So here VLOOKUP value will be again here the sales order, comma, table array. Well, you probably know that's this one, comma. The value is in here, which is the 4th column, comma, and then we say false again, enter. Alright, so is this correct? We see here 750,000 for the Tesla company. Alright, that looks nice. Number 1, John, 500,000 for Amazon. Beautiful. This is basically how you can have 2 tabs for your VLOOKUP, or using VLOOKUP spread over 2 different tabs and put them all together back in a dashboard. And here you can go really deep, and I have another video that goes deeper in this because there's so much you can do with this. It's really fun. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you have questions about this or you're still struggling, let me know. Put them in the comment section, explain your problem, and I will try to look at it. And if you like videos like this, subscribe to my channel because there's a lot more topics about VLOOKUP with Excel.